this is very much personal preference, but I think I could enjoy a film that isn't art, but I don't think I could enjoy a film that isn't entertainment.
But it's weird though how you define. I guess it's like say personal preference, because it's like it depends your definition of entertaining. Like you could argue Parasite and Sorry to Bother You is art, but I find them very entertaining. Yeah. So it's a weird.
But that's what I mean. They were art and they were also entertaining, so I enjoyed them.
You got stuff like.
Parasite. I've not seen the other one.
You guys may have heard of a film called Koyaanisqatsi. How do you say it, Ben? I can never get the pronunciation right.
Koyaanisqatsi.
Exactly. And basically that is like a film which is loads of really quite sort of...
I said it like that because that's how it's said in the thing.
Right, yeah. Okay. I assumed as much.
Well, the score, for a start, the score is by Philip Glass, who is quite an abstract composer. And he's basically just overlaid this music over loads of really arty shots of humanity. So, like in cities and in rural areas and stuff like space launches and things like that. And James's face shows me that he doesn't really...
That sounds really like my worst nightmare.
But, yeah, exactly. But I'd watch that and think, I'd be entertained by that because I'm getting something from it, which isn't just a plot, and it's not just kind of, a chain of events, one thing leads to the other type thing. It's like it's very, very visual, but it's still cinema and it's still film, but it's not trying to do the same thing. It's like it's more like an art piece, but I'm still entertained. I'm still that's the whole point, really, is that I'm. It's not necessarily entertainment, but I'm still kind of sat there enjoying something, enjoying what I'm watching.
I get that, but I would say that one doesn't really count, because if there's no plot, then that's not a film.
What makes the film? What makes the film? Is it the feature? Is it the run time?
No, a plot.
There's no rules. I suppose that's kind of part of the debate, but you don't have to have a plot for it to be a film.
There's so many films where it's just people talking. There's no real.
No, but there's still a plot to that.
No, you don't have to have a plot. You can make your own plot with stuff like that.
Isn't there? Did Andy Warhol do a few films that are ridiculously? I'm pretty sure he did one that was called Sleep, and it's literally just 10 hours of his friend sleeping.
Yeah,
that's not a film.
I mean, that's just self-indulgent.
That's an art piece.
that one is an art piece, but there's one that's called, I think it's called Beach or something, and it's two or three people having a conversation off camera, so you can't see them. And in the distance, you can just see a guy on the beach, trying to straighten out his towel and then sitting and sunbathing. So the entire film is you just watching this guy while they talk in the background about random stuff. And I'm pretty sure that's another 5-6 hour film.
Yeah, but I wouldn't class that as a film.
But what
I would class that as another. Well, it's like another art piece, isn't it?
But
what
it's not though.
As a film?
It's not.
It's because it's got a plot to it.
No, but
I would say without a plot, then it's just like an art exhibition type thing. It's performance art.
I'm not sure I agree. I understand what you're saying, but but something like Koyaanisqatsi. Koyaanisqatsi. Right, Christ. I just sound pretentious because I can't even pronounce the name of the film. But
you've got a post of it in your wall and everything as well.
Yeah. So, but something like that is a film. And yeah, it's trying to be a bit more abstract, and and there's no plot, but it's still a film with maybe it has to have a message or it has some kind of point, rather than a plot.
I was going to say if you can discern a message from it, or it seems to have a point, then I'd say that it counts as a film, because of course silent cinema was a huge thing for a long time, and not all silent cinema had word cards on it, so you just had to kind of pick out from the.
Yeah, but they still had stories.
Yeah, some of them had story, but some of them are just very, that early film was literally just people filming events silently,
yeah, a busy street and stuff and things like that.
A film is something that it's thought provoking in some way, and it elicits some kind of emotional response from me, I think. And it's that can be a plot and that can be characters, in a traditional sense, or that can just be images that conjure up memories or emotions or ideas or whatever. They can be sort of very loosely related, and they can be very sort of personal to you, but it's still evoking some kind of like message or meaning, you know. That's still a film to me, really. But it's
would you guys count like an hour and a half long documentary as a film?
Yeah, of course I would. Yeah,
it's a type. That's a genre.
See, I wouldn't. I'd say that's a documentary.
But it's a documentary film.
It's a film.
I wouldn't count that as a film.
It absolutely is. It's just. It's
but
the same
documentaries
way, like,
have plots. Documentaries have structures and characters.
Yeah, but
Absolutely
that's non-fiction.
Yeah, but they still
Still a
structured,
film.
and they still have like the same dramatic beats, and they still have the same kind of
cast of
pacing.
characters, director, producer, even a writer. I think you bring up a fair point about the debate the Koyaanisqatsi and the Andy Warhol stuff. Like, what does make a film?
I'd say that I've not seen the one that you're pronouncing.
Koyaanisqatsi.
Yeah, that one. I've not seen Koyaanisqatsi.
I bet I'm saying it wrong as well.
From how you guys like putting it forward, I would say that is more of a film than the Andy Warhol stuff. Like 10 hours of watching someone sleep silently with nothing, that is like just sort of like, it's filmed obviously, and technically it is a film because it was on reel, but I wouldn't call it a film. I would agree with James that isn't a film because there's not enough there to warrant, like, it's basically watching someone sleep is basically a still image that changes like every couple hours.
Yeah,
you know, he's just sat there lightly breathing, then eventually he'll just go.
Well, that's kind of like
that's
sort of like contemporary modern art, where it does sometimes like
it's just CCTV footage.
It sometimes can be a little bit self-indulgent.
Because those Andy Warhol films are counted as films, I feel really sorry for the team of BBFC guys who had to watch them films so that they could put an age rating on them.
It must have been on like fast forward times 2.
Yeah, it's like we get it.
Just sat there like, God's sake.